Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for week 48. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here, and welcome back to this week's news report, where once again it is time to have a look back, see what the Forex market threw at us in the past week, and then have a closer look at our individual EAs, see how well our portfolios are doing, trying to determine which ones are the top 5 for each EAs. It is all part of this video as usual. Plus we have new and additional information every single week also coming through to you on this particular news report. Now, last week we were discussing here that the drawdown was finally coming down. Profits were overtaking the drawdowns in here, and it seems to continue that things are going in the same direction for this particular week in here, and already starting also on Monday. Now we have gone into a new week, but again we have about 1 hour in here on Sunday evening where there is some trading going on, and we have to make adjustments. So that is why we will continue for this particular news report to do the weekly returns, and then next week we will have the full update for the monthly returns too, which will obviously give you an even better overview of what exactly is happening in the Forex market and which EAs are the best ones here at the moment. We also have to go through Expert4x. He has sent out, Alex, a couple of videos in the last week. We're going to have a closer look at those and see which ones might be interesting for yourself. And of course, we also have our copy link service in here and see which ones are the ones that are producing the best results when it comes to the overall potential in the last 8 weeks. So all of it we will cover in this particular one. But first, let's get into the Wave Liberator. Now we have a special situation with the Wave Liberator for week 48 this week on the top 5 EAs, pretty much filled up by the Japanese currency pair we have in here. Top one is actually US Japanese, $28, 2.8%, followed by Swiss francs Japanese, $26, 2.6%. And at the bottom here, we have the Aussie Japanese currency pair, $16, 1.6%. And overall, we have a very low Wave Liberator week for 109 and 2.2%. So definitely it's still around 8 or 9% in a month. But again, these are the top 5. So it is a bit low. People are saying that they are afraid of the Japanese currency pair. But again, this is a true statement that this is actually the money we're getting in when it is working, when it is set up correctly. So there's a lot of money to be had on that particular pair. Yes, it's very volatile, but then also you open up the gaps. And I will explain a bit later where you can find more about this and how we actually do it. So later on in the video. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at the graph. Still looks very nice in here. We have floating profit of loss of less than 16,000, close profits more than 47. So still going extremely well. Monthly returns is around 9%. Don't forget these are on $10,000 accounts, and when you then convert it, you'll have, instead of 0.9, you will have 9% in here. Weekly returns around 2. Trade wins are good with 69, and then trades per day 11.7, and a history here now also of more than 830 days in here. This particular week was not so good, as I mentioned, 147. So that is pretty much half of what we've seen in the last many weeks, and all up to about a month. So, but obviously that's what happens once in a while, especially also when we see some return on drawdown. Basically, drawdown is going low. Then normally the grid gets in a bit of a phase where it doesn't really cash in until all the items are closed, and then they'll start again. For the RSI Liberator, it's very similar here also. For week 48, we have New Zealand Japanese. So again, the two top ones are Japanese currency pairs with $40, 4%. Aussie Japanese, which you saw also with the Wave Liberator at $22, 2.2%. And then followed all the way down to EuroCAD, $12, 1.2%. And with a total of $111 or 2.2%. So it's very similar to what the Wave Liberator produced. In here, again, very nice graph. Monthly profits is a bit lower here with about 7%. We can see floating profit of loss is 16,900. Close profit is 30. So we are well in the money printing phase. and trade wins are 66.8, so still looking good with more than 47,000 pips taken. Trades per day is around 12. History now has just surpassed 600 days, and it's looking pretty okay, apart from this week, $120 versus 194 prior week, 261, 186. So also here for that particular EA has also dropped a bit on the profits, also at the same time, also dropped on the drawdown. For the Hedge EA, very low profits this particular week here. Again, we have mentioned how that works in the past. Euro AUD, $16, 1.6%, followed by Euro Swiss francs, so a few euros in here, $15, 1.5%, and you have another Euro CAD down here at $13, 1.3%. So a lot of euros has actually moved on the edge, but still only come up with $64, 1.3%. That is definitely too low. Even though this is working quite well, the damage was done, as I mentioned a couple of times before, back in April when the tariffs actually kicked in, and that's why it continues to have a high floating profit of loss. And we are considering maybe changing this into new $1,000 accounts and then starting these over again to show the real potential. But still, they are doing 8% over the entire time that we've been testing, which is around history of 315 days. So not too bad, and trades per day is still around the 10 mark. History, 315 days, as I mentioned, $68 is everything we got in, 90 last week. So hopefully when we are getting out of these drawdowns, we can see some real good cash-ins again. But for now, we obviously have to wait and see. The simple grid trader, also this one is the one that's actually holding up the best versus prior weeks in here. Simple grid trading, so has the top Great British Pounds New Zealand at $93, 9.3%. So that is very nice and high. But then there's a big drop down to the New Zealand Japanese at $39, 3.9%. And the bottom of the top 5 here with Great British Pounds USD, $24, 2.4%. But still the top 5 actually makes $208, 4.2%. So very, very happy with that. And when we go and have a look at the graph, it is not as straight as you see the other ones are, but that is again the nature of this particular EA and how it operates. We have covered that in multiple videos before. Floating profit of loss, you'll notice that at one point when the profits were basically high and the drawdown was even higher, then they were pretty much even. Now that has gone back down and it continues to do so. So let's hope that we have gotten into the full money printing phase here now. All depends on the market, of course. Total returns has been more than 10%, so that is obviously nice. It's taken into consideration for the floating profit and loss here with the weekly returns at the moment, 1.4, monthly returns around 6%, so still way too low. Trade wins 73%, pips taken, more than 48,000 trades per day is very active, 18, with a history of 228 days. Still going quite well. And also here the dip is not as big as you saw on some of the other EAs, 211 versus 368, 321, 270. So we are low. Drawdown is coming down, so that is also good because that means that if you want to take out the money, there is more money available. So at the end of the day with the equity set. Now I did mention that we've made a couple of videos, and these videos have been done earlier this year, and I did an entire series on the Forex grid trading explained, basically the setups, how we actually divide the grid in there for the individual currency pairs. As you notice, we always do individual currency pairs because they operate very, very differently, so we are not bunching them up in any way, shape and form. But these particular videos, there's 8 in that entire series. There is all the information that you need to know about grid trading, how to set it up, how we are actually doing it. And then there's also individual videos that then goes for the EAs that you are seeing in this particular news report. So you can go and basically dissect every single thing on the trading in here, and also how we actually backtest things to make sure that we get the results that you see in this particular video. Now we also do the lucky trader. And for this particular week, that is also low. Normally it's cashing in quite nicely. But the best one here is the Euro Swiss francs, $21, 2.1%, and it drops all the way down to the Aussie USD, only at $6, 0.6%, New Zealand CAD, $3, 0.3%, and then overall the top 5 can only manage $49 or 1%. But again, we are not losing any money here at the moment. Things are actually going okay. But however, we would like to see more profit in the future, but we don't like to blow any accounts, and that's the way it is. Monthly returns is around 9% on $1,000 accounts, so still not too bad. Weekly returns around 2, maybe 2.5% in there. And then trade wins 69. Pips taken, we are getting close to 40,000 now. Trades per day 11.8, and a history of 392 days in here. And you can see the second week where we had a bit of a retracement and lower drawdown, we only get $48 versus 94. So it hasn't been the best of the months in here, but hopefully it'll pick up very soon. In the meantime, you can go and have a look at some of the videos at Expert4x. This is one of them that Alex has made. And again, he's asking you how to triple up a successful trade on an account, and here he actually explains how he starts off with simply just one single trade. Obviously it can go against you. If it goes with you, what you're then going to do, and what he's going to explain in here is also the top up. You can see on the picture here the top up percentage versus the target in total of pips, and then he will give you the calculations in here on how exactly to do this, so that you will, after the first entry, you will basically have positive profits no matter what. And obviously you want to get to the end where you are topping up your trades, and then you're ending up with a start of $1,000, and then you will basically collect 2 in here. So that is the system. Obviously this is far from a 100% win rate, but when you win, you are definitely cashing in a lot higher than what you actually lost in the first place. So I'll make sure that the link is in the video description below. There's also another one that they have now opened an EA coding service. So again, you can come up with some details and information for your own MetaTrader in here, training bot, indicator, whatever it is you want, and ask to get that particular service in there. It will be interesting to see how that works out, if there's new EAs that are actually coming out. What I do believe that Alex wanted to do is also basically help the traders that are coming up with these details and information to sell their robots on the server side in here. We'll have to see. It hasn't happened yet, so there might be changes along the way, but this has been indicated in the past, so very, very interesting opportunities. And last but not least, we also have our copy link service. Now there's a few in here, and it looks like Alex hasn't had a closer look at what we have put out, because we have quite a few EAs that have low drawdowns, has been doing a lot better than some of these. So we'll have to go through that in the next week or so to make sure that all our signals are actually been added in there again, because there's quite a few for this particular week, so a bit disappointing. But still, you can see some of the best ones. We have floating profit or loss at -300. We don't want to see anything higher. The highest one is 228, and there's quite a few that are well below that, but that is sort of kind of the best area that we should be in. Total negative weeks in the last 8 weeks. We don't want to see anything again higher than 300, and here we have -225. Again, we are talking equity, not on the balance side. And then also the gains in here, high to low. We have some on the equity that has lost a bit in the last 8 weeks. The rest has actually done quite well, and 176C has done the best with about 31%. There should be a lot more, especially because the equity has actually come down in the last couple of weeks. So that's why we are a bit surprised when we looked over the weekend that this list is so very short. So we'll have a look, see what needs to be updated, and hopefully you will have a longer list by end of next week. So this is what we had for you in this week's news report. As you can see, drawdowns is coming down. However slowly it is. That also means that you could have a bit of a pause on the profit side. Hopefully Both of them will continue, so we will have even lower drawdown the next couple of weeks when you are tuning into this particular news report, and then we will show you even bigger profits. However, we are coming up to Christmas. Most of the time that means a quiet time. We have seen in the past, and obviously we know that a lot of things are also dependent on the US market, what is actually happening, what kind of information details is coming out. If there is more basically tariffs or they are being taken off, all of this has a huge impact on the Forex market too. So we will simply have to wait and see exactly which way the winds are going to blow in the future. The only thing that is for certain is you'll see the last details and information on both drawdowns and profits. You'll see that straight here at High Tech Investment website. So make sure you tune in again next week, and then we'll tell you a bit more about it. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video here also, we will have a full month of returns, so you can see which EAs has actually been managing the month the best. And then you can make your determination from there on what to buy, where to actually go on the copy link service in here and team up and make sure that you make a bit of profit just before Christmas. So until then, I hope to see you on one of my other videos. Bye bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.